Hello everyone. Today we're going to be pretending to talk about anti-vaccine propaganda, when in fact we're smearing someone for being anti-vaccine, despite the person in question being publicly pro-vaccine and even double vaccinated. This video is a response to a video by a YouTuber by the name of Shaun, entitled Jimmy Dore's Anti-Vaccine Lies. In this video, Shaun claims that Jimmy Dore is a nefarious anti-vaxxer who is putting people's lives in danger with his insidious propaganda, all to make an extra buck. I'm going to show you that either through incompetence or on purpose, Shaun's video about Jimmy is wildly inaccurate. First, Shaun levels the accusation that Jimmy has changed from a pro to an anti-vaccine stance in order to make more money.
So from these videos and others, Dore's position appears to be that vaccines are a good thing, that they should be free, available to everyone regardless of status, and that distributing the vaccine to all citizens as soon as it's available would stop the pandemic. However, recently something strange has been going on over at the Jimmy Dore Show. Dore has taken a hard turn into peddling anti-vaccine propaganda in videos that are absolutely full of deception, flawed logic, and outright lies. As for why this is, you only need to go to his channel and look at the view counts on his recent videos. His anti-vaccine videos are some of the most popular content he's produced this year. Bringing in a piece of the anti-vaccine audience provides a real financial incentive to keep producing that sort of content, because some of those new viewers attracted by the anti-vaccine content will become premium members, or head over to the Jimmy Dore comedy store where they can buy mugs and hoodies and bags and hats and shirts and so on.
Okay, let's take a look at each of the accusations made by Shaun in this clip. Firstly, we need to know how many videos Jimmy has posted this year. The answer to that is 576. I have a spreadsheet of all the videos and their view counts, which will be posted in the description. Now, are these videos that he shows on the screen among the most popular Jimmy has done this year? Are any of them in the top 10, let's say? Yes, this video is number 3. Are any more in the top 10? No. Top 50? Yes. These two are numbers 25 and 40, respectively. All the rest are number 76 and lower in popularity. I submit to you that these videos are no more or less popular than if you had just randomly picked 11 videos Jimmy has done this year. You may have noticed I didn't mark this video. That's because this video has nothing to do with vaccines. It's about a poll showing many Americans thinking President Biden is not mentally competent. Why Shaun put it on here? I don't know. Okay, well, has there been a dramatic increase in views on Jimmy's videos since he made this alleged heel turn? You can see a slight increase in the second half of the year, but nothing dramatic. The fact is, Jimmy Dore isn't a grifter. How can I be sure? Because Cenk accused him of being a grifter earlier this year and got absolutely destroyed by Jimmy.
So then the next week, watch how unhinged he is. Why don't you watch this? He goes, "This is the kind of right-winger who pretends to support the left as she continually pretends that some progressives are not left enough. In her support of loony left grifters like Jimmy Dore. I don't even know if she's a real person, but it says in her profile she's a conservative. I know Jimmy Dore is an unstable con man and that right-wingers love him as he helps them attack real progressives. But I want people to understand that a lot of his supporters are not left-wing at all. While they pretend to be left-wing in their comments, it's a scam." He sees a conspiracy around every corner, this guy. It's a scam. I'm a big scammer and a big grifter. This is what I've been saying since COVID started at the end of every one of my videos. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video. So there's me telling everybody to keep your freaking money, COVID, everybody's hurting. And Cenk Uygur, that's him, that's grifting. Kind of ironic how Cenk accuses Jimmy of being a scammer, looking for money when, for the past year, every video he puts out, he mentions how no one has a job and just enjoy the video. Jimmy hasn't done anything slimy like beg for money and say he will push politicians' votes. So let's watch it again. Let's watch it one more time. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.
So, I've got to say, Shaun makes a very compelling argument about Jimmy being a grifter, only interested in money. After all, what kind of slimy scumbag YouTuber would create videos to try to drive people to some sort of subscription service where they get extra content for money? You'd have to be one sick son of a bitch to do something like that. Seriously though, from March 19th, 2020 until July 13th, 2021, this guy, who is supposedly anti-vax so he can grift money out of people, told everyone at the end of every video he put out to save their money and not buy subscriptions to him. If Jimmy Dore is a grifter, he's really bad at it. Shaun also seems to think that Jimmy has no real reason to have made a change from being ardently pro-vaccine to having questions about the vaccine.
Now, Dore himself isn't even pushing anti-vaccine conspiracies for ideological reasons, I don't think. I don't think he actually has any opinions, to be honest. He's just someone who's willing to cash in on a trend, even if it ends up getting people killed.
This isn't correct either. Jimmy does have a good reason, at least in my opinion. He got the vaccine, and then his side effects never went away. And Shaun should know this, because the clip I'm about to show you is from Jimmy's appearance on Joe Rogan that Shaun brings up later in his video.
I got the vaccine. I got the double. And
which one did you get?
I got the Moderna because I have an underlying health problem. I've talked about it before on the show.
We have talked about it, yeah.
And then, I just, the symptoms you get from it, they never went away for me.
What were your symptoms?
So I had body aches, flu-like fever. I had joint pain. I had a stiff neck. How long did it last? How long did your symptoms last? So on April 17th, I got the second jab, and I just never got better.
Was it immediate? Before after the first jab, did you have side effects?
Yes, but they went away. And then the second jab.
How long did they last after the first shot?
I don't remember, but because
a couple days.
Yeah, it was like maybe a week. I think a week, and then the second time they just never went away, and I was like, "What is going on?" Because I would get these waves of exhaustion a couple times a day, and then my producer had the same at the fifth week. I had a stiff neck. He got a stiff neck, and my wife got a stiff neck, and we all got the stiff neck on the side where we got the shot. So I got it on this side. They got it on that side. And then I looked it up, and it turns out stiff neck is a thing that people experience from the jab. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. They don't tell you that. And so that's common. I'm like, okay. And then it spread to the whole neck. Okay. Now, my producer and my wife, it went away. Their stiff necks went away. Mine didn't. So anyway, I tweeted about it. I tweeted like, hey, this is just to let everybody know this is what's happened. This is my reaction to the vaccine.
Yeah.
And because when people started to come on me, like call me anti-vax, and I'm like, no, I got the vax. Right. I got it. I go, when people have a reaction to an experimental vaccine that is not FDA approved, you're supposed to not suppress the reactions. You're supposed to ask people what the reactions are so we can make the vaccines better.
Jimmy Dore isn't against vaccines. He's against vaccine mandates. I'll show proof of that to you later. The next charge Shaun levels at Jimmy is that he likes to only show parts of articles and writings that agree with his point of view.
This video from Dore is a real masterclass in misleading an audience, and to see what Dore does here, we're going to read this article along with him and see how he represents it. Now, here's how Jimmy Dore starts reading the article.
On Monday, Singapore recorded 1,647 cases of COVID-19, bringing its 7-day daily average to 1,545 cases, higher than any other previous wave of the pandemic.
So what he did there was skip the first paragraph, the one that states that Singapore's high vaccination rate has kept severe cases and deaths down.
And they're super vaccinated in Singapore. We're going to find experts say Singapore's climbing cases, more than half of which are in vaccinated individuals.
Hang on, where is he? Oh, he skipped down to here, the sentence that starts out, experts say that Singapore's climbing cases and so on.
Now, what if I were to tell you that Shaun does the exact same thing?
So they injected some mice with the vaccine, some with IM injections, some with IV injections. Later, they dissected the mice, the poor mice, and they report that they found myopericarditis in the IV group. Myopericarditis being an inflammation of parts of the heart. But what the authors of this study are concerned about is the possibility of an accidental intravenous injection. So the person administering the injection aims to inject the vaccine into a muscle, but accidentally injects it into the bloodstream.
Wow, look at that. It's almost as if people clip parts of an article that support the point they're trying to make and leave out the parts that don't support their argument all the time. Also, another hilarious thing is the entire point of Shaun's video is he's claiming Jimmy is an anti-vaxxer, but in this same video, Jimmy says this.
And so if you're afraid of the COVID, go get your vaccine then.
Now, to be fair to Shaun, this video is an agonizingly long 4 minutes and 49 seconds. So obviously he didn't have time to watch it all. He's got Patreon subscribers to recruit. Next on the list, Shaun points out that in one of the articles, the text was changed, which changed the meaning of the sentence.
Now, further down the article, Jimmy Dore does something even worse than simply selectively quote the article. He actually changes the text in order to better suit his argument.
Here, Jimmy gives an explanation. You can choose to believe it or not. It's not my place to tell you what to believe.
Now, when we originally reported this graphic here is incorrect. This graphic here was put together by my producer, and he joined together two sentences that didn't go together, and he added a word, despite. So if you're going to add a word, you have to put brackets around it so people know you've added a word and it wasn't in the source text. He didn't do that. And then he changed the tense of these two words to make it fit syntactically or grammatically with the rest of the sentence. Now, you could combine two sentences, but you have to put a ... and then so people know that you're jumping ahead. And so, but that didn't do that. Plus, that was supposed to be a period, and he put a comma. And then he put this, and it actually changed the meaning of this sentence. It didn't mean what. So, by the way, doesn't change. So I have to cover that, right? Because that was fucked up. And I didn't know about that. I had to trust my producer that we went over the story. He put it together. I had no idea he was going to take two sentences, jam them together, and add a word without putting it in a bracket. So I had no idea when I did this segment originally that had happened. That was done by my producer who put it together. I asked him why he did it, and he didn't really have a good excuse. He said, I was in a hurry, I got sloppy, and I'm stupid. Unfortunately, he can't be with us anymore because I can't have someone on like that who's sloppy, stupid, and does something like that. And so, unfortunately, he's no longer with us.
Next, Shaun tries to pretend that Jimmy said he's never in his life said that ivermectin was effective against COVID-19.
On the 14th of October, the site healthfeedback.org published an article that was critical of Jimmy Dore's statements about COVID-19. And in particular here, we're interested in their criticism of his statements about the drug ivermectin. However, in a video posted to YouTube on the 19th of October, Jimmy Dore defended himself against the claims in this article by saying that they're all made up.
Apart from the claim about vaccine administration, Dore commented on ivermectin's effectiveness against COVID-19. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Now, did you hear me say that ivermectin has been proven to treat COVID? And that because it won the Nobel Prize in medicine in 2015, that means it could treat COVID? I never said that, did I? I didn't say anything like that.
So according to Jimmy Dore, he's never said anything like the claims in the article. He's never said ivermectin is effective in treating COVID. However,
widespread distribution of ivermectin proves effective in Mexico against COVID-19. This has been suppressed. And now we're finding out that ivermectin treats this COVID. That if you just use ivermectin, and by the way, this data has been out there for a while.
This is just a blatant case of Shaun taking Jimmy out of context. Jimmy isn't saying he's never in his life said that ivermectin is effective against COVID. He's responding to the allegation from the Facebook fact checker that accuses Jimmy of saying it in the video that's being fact checked. Jimmy's claim about ivermectin in that video is that the mainstream media is lying, saying that it is only a horse dewormer or paste, which is true, just ask Joe Rogan.
So if you tried to share this, it said partly false information checked by independent, again, independent, not so independent. So here's what I said about ivermectin. Listen to this. They're not telling you everything. The mainstream news does not tell you the truth about COVID. They lied to you about ivermectin, said it was not a human medicine when it won the Nobel Prize for Human Medicine in 2015 and is one of the most prescribed drugs in the history of human beings. Billions of prescriptions have been written for ivermectin for human beings, and it's saved many lives. Billions. So they're not telling you that. They're not also telling you that everyone's going to get COVID eventually. They're not telling you that. That's a fact that's accepted by the experts, but they're not telling you that, are they? They keep telling you to be afraid that you might get it. We're all going to get it. So you should prepare for when you get it. And now we find out they're administering the jabs incorrectly. Okay, so did you hear what I said about ivermectin? That the news media lied to you and said it was a horse, that made you think it was a horse medicine instead of a human medicine, and that won the Nobel Prize for human medicine. Now, did you hear me say that ivermectin has been proven to treat COVID? And that because it won the Nobel Prize in medicine in 2015, that means it could treat COVID? I never said that, did I? I didn't say anything like that. I was talking about the lie that the news media told you about ivermectin, which is a fact. They lied and misled people into thinking it was animal medicine instead of what it actually is, a human medicine that was found out to also work in animals. That's what I said. Look at what they said I said. Apart from the claim about vaccine administration, Dore commented on ivermectin's effectiveness against COVID-19. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Alleging that the mainstream news does not tell you the truth about COVID-19, they lied to you about ivermectin, said it was not a human medicine when it won the Nobel Prize for Human Medicine in 2015. That's 100% accurate. 100%. Watch this. While it is true that ivermectin is used in humans and that the scientists who discovered it won a Nobel Prize, what Dore didn't tell his viewers was that neither of those facts have any bearing on whether ivermectin is effective. Again, you know why I didn't bring that up? Because I wasn't saying it was. I was pointing out the obvious lie. And now Facebook is making up a lie saying that I was saying this. I didn't say that. I didn't say that because it won the Nobel Prize, that means it's good at COVID. I didn't say that. They're making it up. Watch this. The fact that scientists won the Nobel Prize for physiology or medicine for their discovery of a particular treatment isn't sufficient grounds for using that treatment for COVID-19. I didn't say that. I said that they won the Nobel Prize for human medicine to debunk the lie that it was an animal medicine. I didn't use that as rationale for treating COVID, like this Facebook is incorrectly and falsely implying. I didn't do that. You saw what I said. They quoted me. I didn't say any of this stuff.
Next up, Shaun tries to imply that Jimmy intentionally deleted a video in which he said that ivermectin was effective against COVID in some sort of desperate attempt to cover his tracks so he could pretend in the previous video he never said that.
Now, if you go looking for that video on Jimmy Dore's YouTube channel, you won't find it. It's actually specifically against YouTube's content policies to post videos that feature, quote, categorical claims that ivermectin is an effective treatment for COVID-19. So did YouTube delete that video? Did Jimmy Dore take it down, perhaps in preparation to claim that he never said exactly what he did say in the video? I don't know.
The truth is far less nefarious. Jimmy does live streams and then clips parts of them out to post to his YouTube channel. He learned this when he worked for the Young Turks, which follows the same model. The full live streams are available on his website if you subscribe as a Premium Gold member, and Shaun should know that considering he shows it in his own video. Now, admittedly, it's kind of hard to see on Shaun's video, so I blew it up. But feel free to check Jimmy's website if you don't believe me. Anyway, here's the full video that Shaun neglected to show you.
Widespread distribution of ivermectin proves effective in Mexico against COVID-19. This has been suppressed. I'm having a reaction to it, and I'm told thousands and thousands of people are having this same reaction to this non-FDA approved experimental vaccine. And now we're finding out that ivermectin treats this COVID. That if you just use ivermectin, and by the way, this data has been out there for a while. There's guys who testified in front of Congress last fall. And so the media won't cover this. I don't even know if we're allowed to cover it. We got to stop shaming people and stigmatizing people who have questions about medical science. We got to stop stigmatizing people. We got to let people ask questions. We got to let people have theories. And we got to be able to criticize the scientists when they are speculating. Houston nurses protest after losing their jobs for refusing COVID-19 shots. So there's nurses in Houston are refusing their COVID-19 shots, and they got fired for it. So now you're being forced to take an experimental vaccine, or you won't be employed. So Mexico's using ivermectin. Now, I heard about ivermectin last year when this guy, doctor who's treating COVID people, who's a lung specialist, presented data that showed that ivermectin was working. And you know what the Democrats did? The Democrats all got up and walked out of the hearing in Congress. Let's remember that our government is bought by Big Pharma. Okay. One country that's had remarkable success in the war against the COVID pandemic but has received little to no global media coverage is Mexico. I wonder why. Maybe because because ivermectin isn't advertised on news channels?
Jimmy believes in ivermectin because, as I'll show you later, he takes it himself. The human version, not the horse version. It was prescribed to him by a doctor. In the video, he mentions that he doesn't know if he's allowed to cover it because of YouTube's draconian censorship rules. So, he does the responsible thing and keeps it on his own personal website behind the paywall. Also, he alludes to his larger point here, that people should be allowed to question authority and that he's against mandates. He talks about how nurses, who suffered so much during the pandemic, are losing their jobs because of the mandates. Finally, he talks about how when there were hearings on ivermectin in Congress, the Democrats got up and walked out. What he didn't mention is a lot of Republicans boycotted that hearing too. Why? Why not listen to the information being presented, and then if you think it's wrong, debunk it? Next up, Shaun implies Jimmy would want to hide his appearance on Joe Rogan, once again perpetuating the already debunked lie that Jimmy said he's never in his life said ivermectin was effective against COVID.
What Jimmy can't take down, though, is his appearance on Joe Rogan's show.
So what about can we talk about ivermectin?
Yeah, sure.
So I covered it, what they did in Mexico City, and ivermectin seems to be a drug that not only treats it, but it will prevent you from getting it.
Well now, according to Jimmy Dore, ivermectin doesn't just seem like it treats COVID, it will actually stop you from getting it altogether.
Even if the previous lie by Shaun were true, this wouldn't be proof of it, because Jimmy doesn't definitively say ivermectin treats COVID. He says it seems to. Wait, where have I heard that phrase before?
So the conclusion this far would seem to be that IV injection of the vaccine can be bad for the heart. Emphasis on seem to be there. Please do not actually make any conclusions right now. Stick with me to the end of this bit. Trust me, there is a twist up ahead.
Oh, okay. So it's okay for Shaun to say something seems to be true, but if Jimmy does it, he's being definitive? The fuck out of here with that noise. Next, Shaun implies that Joe Rogan is scared of the YouTube censors and quickly tries to change the subject to stop Jimmy from getting him cancelled.
Now, if you watch that clip, it's quite funny, because by making such a direct medical claim, he clearly worries Rogan a bit, who starts saying, well, we need more studies, I'm just an MMA guy, don't listen to me about health stuff. Rogan's clearly also worried about the wrath of the YouTube censors.
I guess that Shaun doesn't really keep up with the news, because Joe Rogan hasn't done his live show on YouTube for a while now. He moved to Spotify, where he doesn't have to worry about YouTube censorship. But even if that weren't true, this assertion by Shaun is still bullshit, because Rogan posted this clip on YouTube. That's where Shaun found it. You can tell because it has the clip intro at the start. Another case of Shaun using some dodgy editing is him cutting off Rogan's response. In it, Rogan talks about how we need more studies to find out whether these things work. And Jimmy agrees with him.
This is why you need a large study, and it's a long-term study. So when I'm a fucking comedian and a cage fighting commentator. When I'm talking about very important issues, I have to hedge my opinions on these things.
I know.
It's tricky.
But in an environment where people aren't allowed to talk or question things.
Now, as I said earlier, I was going to show you that Jimmy knows about ivermectin because he himself takes it. He's part of a study run by the doctor I'm about to show you to test the effects of different drugs on people who present as long-haul COVID sufferers, which Jimmy does because of the after effects of the vaccine. So Jimmy is putting his body on the line to try to help find out for the world whether ivermectin is effective against COVID or not. And this pompous asshole Shaun is trying to say he's doing it for money? Shaun, you can go piss up a rope and suck on the soggy end.
Okay, our guest today is the founder and director of the ECA Wellness Center of Rhode Island. He's conducting medical research on COVID long haulers syndrome, and he's part of a group treating over 5,000 patients with long hauler symptoms. I'm part of that clinical research. Pleased to have his expertise. He is Dr. Ram Yogendra, also known as Dr. Yo. Hello, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks for having me on. Really excited. Thank you.
Next up, Shaun says Jimmy does a bad thing and then proceeds to agree with Jimmy?
Phrasing this extremely generously to the authors of the study, we could say that some medical professionals recommend aspiration for vaccine injections and some don't. So how do we get from here to Jimmy Dore stating outright that they're administering the jabs incorrectly?
And now we find out they're administering the jabs incorrectly.
Jimmy Dore has taken it upon himself to settle the argument here, and he's done it seemingly at random.
So Shaun attacks Jimmy for saying that the jab is being administered incorrectly. Then he goes off on a long, irrelevant tangent about how the study is rubbish and how there weren't enough mice in the study and how the mice already had myocarditis and they mixed up the mice and all this other garbage. But then he says this.
Now, just to be clear here, this study is rubbish, but I don't mean to give the impression that an accidental intravenous injection is completely impossible. Of course, as with all medical procedures, mistakes can and do happen. And with millions of vaccinations being carried out, it would be unreasonable to assume that no mistakes occur anywhere. And if some more rigorous studies than this one led to a change in the way the medical community at large administers vaccines, I would have no criticism of that.
Needs more study. Where have I heard that before? Oh, right, in the exact same video.
So this is how science is supposed to work. They have the CDC, the WHO, the Green Book. They have their recommendation, and now these scientists didn't believe their recommendation, so they challenged it and did a study, and now they have better data that disproves that recommendation. That's how science works. There's never this idea that the science is solid and it's all agreed upon, and they're always constantly questioning. That's how science works. Question it. And if it can't stand up to questions, if it can stand up to questions, what are you afraid of? So again, but you're not allowed to question anything anymore, or you're a Trumper and a conspiracy theorist. But here's a bunch of smarty pants doctors who did a study that questioned the science, and it turned out it was wrong. You should be aspirating. They're recommending you should be aspirating.
So, Shaun says Jimmy is anti-vax because he says the jab is being administered incorrectly. But then he says there are also probably mistakes being made. So, in other words, the vaccines are being administered incorrectly? Oh my god! Shaun is anti-vax too! Next up, Shaun attacks Jimmy for reporting that people who have gotten the vaccine are suffering from tinnitus.
So this is Vax side effect, sudden hearing loss reported, and here Jimmy Dore falls into that most classic of argumentative pitfalls, the correlation versus causation misunderstanding.
The ABC 15 investigators heard from people all over the country who said they reported sudden or worsening tinnitus to the CDC's Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, VAERS. In all, more than 10,000 Americans, including 217 Arizonans, reported. That's 1 out of every 21,000 people who got the COVID-19 vaccine.
Now then, we need to be careful and responsible when investigating and reporting this sort of thing. You see, the issue here is one of scale. It might be that you can find 217 people in Arizona, say, who reported tinnitus after being vaccinated. But Arizona has a population of millions of people, and if an area's healthcare system vaccinates millions of people, that is a huge data set to pull from. And tinnitus can have several possible causes: sinus congestion, stress, anxiety, high blood pressure, and so on. Out of millions of people, we'd expect some of those people to report tinnitus anyway on just an average week with no vaccinations whatsoever.
Shaun really did his homework here on these tinnitus causes. I wonder where he got that info from.
Diving deeper, lots of things can cause tinnitus, including head injury, sinus congestion, stress, anxiety, autoimmune diseases, and high blood pressure.
I just thought that was funny. Anyway, Shaun is fudging the numbers here, taking the small number of people who reported tinnitus in Arizona and comparing that to the entire population of Arizona. He conveniently ignores the bottom number, 1 in every 21,000 who received the vaccine. I live in Canada, and the first shot I got was the AstraZeneca shot. When I got it, I was warned about risk of a condition called VITT, which, long story short, is the possibility of blood clots caused by the vaccine. You may have heard about it in the news. The odds that I was given at the time that this could happen to me was about 1 in 50,000, which is pretty much in step with the range I found online of 1 in 26,500 to 1 in 127,300. Why am I telling you this? Well, if I was warned about a possible side effect of a vaccine in that probability range, and the number of people who report tinnitus after the vaccine is more likely if we go with the 1 in 21,000 number, wouldn't that indicate we should at least investigate the possibility that this is happening because of the vaccine? Now, to be crystal clear, I'm not saying the vaccine causes tinnitus. What I am saying is Shaun implying that Jimmy is irresponsible for featuring this video is kind of a dick move, and doesn't prove he's anti-vax. It proves, as I've already shown, that he got side effects from his vaccine and is concerned about people who seem to be being ignored with the same issue.
Mayo Clinic Dr. Greg Poland tries to dispel myths about the COVID vaccine.
So that guy dispels myths about the COVID vaccine. Guess what happened?
But he's not willing to discount a connection between the vaccine and tinnitus. Why? He got it too.
I can't tell with absolute confidence that it was a result of the vaccine. I can only say that it happened an hour and a half after getting the vaccine.
Post-vaccine tinnitus sufferers we spoke with sought medical care, but they said providers were reluctant to believe them and unsure about the best treatments. Some medical providers urged the FDA, CDC, and researchers to be open-minded and fully investigate these vaccine recipients' symptoms.
If there are side effects, we need to educate the public about them. We need to know about them so we can give people the right advice. Well, they're not making it up, and it's very important not to have them feel marginalized.
And the best part is, once again, in the exact same video, Jimmy shows both sides of the argument, but Shaun, for some reason, only shows the part that agrees with him.
Dr. Susan Schmidt says you'd have to rule out everything else in order to link a patient's tinnitus to the vaccine.
And, in keeping with the theme of Shaun leaving parts out that debunk his argument here, as I promised earlier, is Jimmy saying he's against vaccine mandates.
The reason why this is super important right now at this moment is because vaccine mandates, you're being mandated to take that. They're being mandated. They're going to fire 72,000 healthcare workers this week in New York City
alone. And
so, let me bring in Max. Max, it seems like this can only this is not about health. Go ahead, Max.
Well, just personally, my issue with the mandates and the passports is based on civil liberties and respecting and protecting workers. It doesn't stem exclusively or primarily from the fear of adverse effects of the vaccine, but for those workers, that's for many of them, that is where it comes from. And whether it's rational or not, their bodily autonomy can't just be thrown away along with their rights as workers, along with their constitutional rights. And so we're throwing it all away here.
And finally today, here is Shaun accusing Jimmy of deceptively editing a video of Dr. Anthony Fauci.
There was a study that came out of Israel about natural immunity, and basically the headline was that natural immunity provides a lot of protection, even better than the vaccines alone. What are people to make of that? So as we talk about vaccine mandates, I get calls all the time. People say, I've already had COVID, I'm protected, and now the study says maybe even more protected than the vaccine alone. Should they also get the vaccine? How do you make the case to them?
That's a really good point, Sanjay. I don't have a really firm answer for you on that.
Which is absolutely absurd that someone of Fauci's acumen with his expertise would not have considered this. And it really is further evidence that he will only consider a big pharma directed solution, if we can even call it a solution.
That clip was cut a little oddly there, I'm sure you noticed.
As I've shown in this video, there are multiple instances of Shaun doing exactly the same thing he accuses Jimmy of doing. I just find that to be hypocritical. And there's nothing wrong with clipping a video. Hell, if I didn't clip the videos for this one, it would be 12 hours long. So, I want to thank all of you for watching this video. It took a lot of work to put together, but it was a labor of love because I admire Jimmy Dore and the values he fights for. Do I agree with everything he says? No. But in life, there's only one person in the world you're going to agree with 100% of the time, and that's yourself. Finally, I'd just like to get on my soapbox for a moment and talk about this trend of people attacking each other for having differing viewpoints. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned, but I remember a time when people could have a discussion about important issues without accusing each other of war crimes or being anti-vax or a Trumper or a Russian, or what other stupid shit people call each other these days. Whatever happened to personal responsibility in all of this? There's so much information out there, but we need censors and the government to tell us what's true and what isn't. When I learn about something important to me, I investigate the shit out of it, and then I make up my own mind. Why can't people do that? Why do I need pompous douche canoes like Shaun to take me by the hand and make sure I don't hear something that might not be true so he can feel superior to the rest of us mere mortals? Anyway, I just want to let you know, links to all the sources I used in this video will be in the description so that you can look at them and make up your own minds. Love you, Jimmy. Peace.